All right, students, we're doing really great with today's lesson, so I hope it is the same for you. So before we get started, in the note sheets, if you have a copy, make sure you split it up into colors because there's not going to be a lot of markings of the graph like we've been doing these last couple of lessons. This is going to be straight up reading, identifying, making sure you understand, okay? So I made Mr. Poskis green and Mr. Gonzalez orange, and it says Mr. Poskis and Mr. Gonzalez decide to see who, man, my words are terrible, who could train and start running 10 miles a week the fastest, and below are their results. Now, before you get started, as always, you want to make sure you understand what the x-axis is talking about and what the y-axis is talking about, right? So my y-axis is their miles that they ran. Time is their time in weeks for their x-axis, okay? Now it says who started out with the least amount of miles, okay? Now, when you start out, you start reading on the left, right? And it looks like this orange one, which is Mr. Gonzalez. And do you guys see now why I chose the colors? He was only 1 mile versus Mr. Poskis, he had 4. And that's why we wanted to do the colors, because that way we can quickly identify instead of going like, okay, who is this again? You know what I mean? Save yourself some time. All right. When did Mr. Poskis and Mr. Gonzalez run the same miles? So when they are the same, that is where we see the intersection kind of occur, okay? All right, now it says when and how many miles. So when is 7 weeks, right? It was 7 weeks. And how many was 6 miles? No, it says who reached the 10-mile mark first. And a lot of people would jump and answer this very quickly and they would get it wrong. So what you want to do is stop and think about it. Who got there first? And in this case, Mr. Gonzalez got there first, right? He got there at 13 weeks versus Mr. Poskis. He may have started ahead, but he did not get to 10 miles until 15 weeks. So Mr. Gonzalez was the winner. All right, he was able to do that in 13 weeks. Okay, now this next question is also kind of difficult. It says, when did each reach that 6-mile mark? So let's start with Mr. Gonzalez, because I already have his color in my hand. All right, when did he get the 6-mile mark? So here's 6 miles, and we're looking for the orange. So, right here. This is when Mr. Gonzalez gets to 6 miles. So that was at 7 weeks. Versus Mr. Poskis, right? Here's the 6-mile mark. He gets there, right there, at 2 weeks. Okay? And then what miles did Mr. Gonzalez get stuck at? Well, when he got stuck, we're looking for where we don't see the graph increasing or going up. And in this case, there are 3 different points at which this happens. It happens right here, and right here. So it's asking for the miles. So where we're looking here, my students yesterday did not read their question right when they first started answering and they started giving me the time. I'm asking for the miles, right? It says what miles. So in this first one, the mile was 2. In this second one, the mile was 5. And in this third one, the mile was 9. So he got stuck at 2, at 5, and at 9 miles. And be careful, we were asking about miles here. Okay, if we were asking about time, then you need to look at your x-axis. So you got to make sure you're reading that question and seeing, are they asking about the time or are they asking about whatever the y-axis is talking about, whether that's distance, temperature, trying to think of other, any type of like measurement thing, so you just want to make sure you're paying attention. Number next. All right, we got Mr. and Mrs. Rolfe are playing with their kids outside in the back. Mr. R is playing with the youngest, and Miss R is playing with the oldest. Below is their data that they gathered. So Mr. R is orange, and Miss R is green. Okay, so pause, rewind. Figure out what your Y and X axis are talking about. Now, our Y axis is talking about yards from the house. Our X axis is talking about minutes that they're, out there. All right, so looking at this, who started out closest to the house? Well, look, this is where the graph starts at for both of them, and it looks like Miss R is closest, right? She is 6 yards. Versus Mr. R, he was way up here, and that is at 14. All right, how many times did the couple end up the same? All right, so list them out with their times in yards. So that's where we're looking at the intersection, and this time it intersects 3 times. Okay, so the first one is at 4 minutes and 9 yards. That's this one. The next one here is at 9 minutes and 10 yards. And then the third one here is at 22 minutes and 10 yards. All right. Overall, who got the furthest from the house? So overall, during this whole time frame, who got the furthest from the house? Now, some people said Mr. R, and Mr. R got 14 yards away. That was the furthest he got. However, if you look way down here, Miss R got 16 yards away. So Miss R, the best teacher, right? She got 16 yards away. All right. Okay, who ended up back at the house? So looking at our graph, the students in class did really well with this, right? Who ended up back at the house? Well, y-axis is the yards from the house. So if you're back at the house, right, you're going to end up on that x-axis, and in this case, it's Mr. R, right? He ended up back at the house after 27 minutes. The youngest child, you know, he got tired. What can I say? So Mr. R ended up back at the house. Now, did Miss R, based on this graph, did she end up back at the house? No, she did not. She got stuck in limbo out here. All right. Now, it says how long did Mr. R stay in the same spot? So when we're talking about when he stayed in the same spot, right, we're looking at that constant. So right here, this is where he stayed in the same spot, right? But I didn't ask for what yard that was. I said how long. So we have to count the units of this constant, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he stayed in the same spot for 6 minutes. Versus your favorite teacher here, Miss R, right? She actually stopped twice. I had 2 constants going on where I stopped. So that means you got to figure out how both of them are. So this first one is 1, 2, 3, plus the other one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So altogether, she stayed in the same spot for only 9 minutes. Okay. All right. Now this last one is a bit of a level up. It is how to interpret the super mathy language for a graph that you'll see on statewide assessments like ACT and SAT or whatever other ones there are. So we're going to take that first problem and we are going to take it and we are going to interpret it. So let's say P of X stands for Mr. Poskis and G of X stands for Mr. Gonzalez. All right. Now, what does P of X equals G of X mean? Well, that means when is Mr. Poskis equal to, oops, I was going to rewrite it. How rude. When is Mr. Poskis equal to Mr. Gonzalez, right? Well, another way of saying that is when are they the same? Right? Well, when we did this earlier, they were the same, right? This was at the intersection, right? So you kind of know how to do this. You just have to read it and reinterpret it and put it in some real people words instead of these mathy words, right? So that's what this meant. Mr. Poskis equaling to Mr. Gonzalez, which is the same thing as saying, when are they the same? And we knew that. We figured that out. You guys had no problem with that. That was the intersection, right? So this was that 7-minute mark. Or I'm sorry, this wasn't minutes. This was weeks, right? This was at 7 weeks and 6 miles. All right, this next one here is what does P of X being greater than G of X, right? So in class, you know, there were kind of 2 ways of saying this, but I'm just going to kind of follow what this sign says, right? So this is saying when is Mr. Poskis. Now, P of X being greater, we weren't talking about time, it was about like miles ran. So when is Mr. Poskis further, right? Because it's saying he's bigger, so further than Mr. Gonzalez. All right, so what time frames, right? Well, all of that is on the graph. This is when his line taller. I feel like that's not the right word I'm looking for, but it's when his line is taller, right? So this was all before the intersection, right? So this was from 0 weeks to 7 weeks, right? So from here to here, Mr. Pasquez is running more miles than Mr. Gonzalez, right? Because the whole time his graph is above Mr. Gonzalez's, versus the opposite, okay? So P of X is less than G of X. Now, there are two ways of saying this, but a lot of the students chose to say it this first way, where it says when Mr. Gonzalez is further than Mr. Pasquez, right? Because that mouth is opening up to Mr. Gonzalez. So on our graph, once again, it's when his line is taller, and this happened after the intersection, which was from 7 weeks to, well, in this case, 13 weeks, right? Because Mr. Gonzalez was able to reach that 10-mile mark before Mr. Pasquez. All right, so Mr. Gonzalez was winning at the end there. All right, so that's just, when you see these super math terms, they tell you what these like crazy looking letters, what they mean within your word problem. You just have to take your time in reading and not feel discouraged. Just pause, take a moment, read. If you got to read it a second time, read it a second time, but you are able to figure it out, okay? All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. Till next time.